dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
Hello, 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 everyone. Let me tell you, it is awesome to be back. I missed you, and I trust you missed me. I have been gone for 8 weeks. Now, I thought I was going to take a mini vacation, but that vacation turned into something much longer than I even anticipated. But I'm back in person, and it's so good to be able to come online and share all of this great information with you. I have a phenomenal guest tonight. I am celebrating my birthday at the same time. 68. Yes, 68. I am proud to be able to say 68 because this time last month, I did not even know if I would be living to see the 68th birthday. So we don't take things for granted. I always say, enjoy life as it is. Tomorrow is not promised. There's no reason to put off what you can do today for tomorrow because you might not be here and tomorrow never comes. Remember, it keeps going on and on and on. I am your show host, Maxine Phillips McKoy. Here we are talking about life strategies, but I also talk about level less. And what is level less? Level less is about a shift in the mind. It's about you not putting limits on yourself or trying to aspire to be at a certain level. But instead, you design and you create what success looks like for you. You put a strategy in place and you execute that strategy. So you are continuously succeeding on your terms. That's what levelless is. So put that shift in the mindset right now. But at the same time, reach out to individuals and let them know that the Life Strategy Show is on. Give them the link, facebook.com /levelless co. Go on, reach out, tag someone, and have them to come on and listen to this great information that we are going to be sharing this evening with you. Okay, so much for me. I tell you, my guest tonight, this man is levelless. I call myself the levelless woman, but this man is definitely the levelless man. And I'm going to bring up right now Nick Paleveda. Nick is the executive director of Pod TV. Pod TV. Come on down, Nick, as they say. Come on up, come on down.
Yeah, I was listening
see you
to your
coming
intro.
in. It's coming in. There you are. There you are. There you are. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. But did you say you turned 38? Is that the deal?
Yeah, right.
I mean, you could do another show. You could show how I found the fountain of youth. I mean, come on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right. So,
Nick,
anyway.
many times people say if you tell your age, you'll tell anything, but that is not true. That's what society wants us to think.
Right.
But I think differently. I'm like, you should be proud of your age because not everybody get a chance to make it to 68.
That's true. I'm actually 65. So
okay.
I'm not a spring chicken, but I did not have you. When you said 68, I was sitting there going, no way, Jose. Okay.
Oh, what?
Are you serious?
Listen, flatter me would get you everywhere.
Are you serious? Hey, Mark, we got a new show, The Fountain of Youth by Maxine
Pearl.
McKoy. How I found the Fountain of Youth. Okay, because you won't believe it. I mean, that's incredible.
Thank you.
I don't know what you're eating and drinking and what all the other stuff is, but it's working.
Well,
so, what am I supposed to talk about today?
We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about all of this great stuff that you're doing. And I want you to share some of these strategies that you put in place for yourself because Nick has a resume that's probably about 35, 40 pages long.
I've been around the block before, but the thing is, gosh, I'm looking at some of these comments at Pod TV Nick. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about Pod TV because I have my own super world of Pod TV, making the mission global media domination, which I shared with Mark. I said we want to be everywhere, so anybody can watch our shows and see all the different people that are on the shows. And as you know, Maxine, they come from all over the world. I mean, from Bali, Indonesia. Today we had people on from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I mean, these are where the shows originate. We originate shows from Kyiv, Ukraine. We originate shows from Switzerland. So we originate shows from all over the world, and we distribute shows to all over the world. So the Pod TV network really becomes a global network. Now, we originally, nothing is a straight line. So that's the reason I kind of like your show, Life Strategies. Okay. Your life never goes one direction, always goes like this.
That's
right. We're like the stock market than the bond market. And we originally started actually as trying to put on educational shows for finance. And here's what happened. The reality hit you. Went to PBS for 2 years, and basically PBS just isn't going to do anything except buy content from the British Broadcasting Company, like Downton Abbey, and then redistribute it on what they call common carriage. And then that's about it. And they know their viewership, Maxine. Their viewership is, because I went to 2 of their national meetings, their viewership is a 69-year-old female. That's their average donor, okay? So next year or somewhere down the road, you'll be the average person who donates to PBS. So when you're putting on shows like what we're putting on, they're just not appealing and attractive to their audience. Right. So then we went to CBS. We didn't meet the president of PBS. We did meet the person who was the former head of NBC Nightly News, who was with WNET. And we actually interviewed him in New York. Okay, but this was at the San Diego meeting. But then we met the president of CBS. Now, this is why we're working with IBM. Right. Okay, because we had a 2-year contract with IBM. And we had a national meeting with him, the head of IBM IoT, and he goes, the problem is taking one of your shows and putting on an evening slot, we got to remove some shows like NCIS. And frankly, we're not going to do that. In other words, basically, it isn't going to happen. So there was no slots for CBS. So now you're stuck, because remember, in the United States, we're talking about the United States, there are 5 major distribution channels. Okay, and 2 of them already basically said this. And then, as you know, Kim was telling me, we got to have our own network. Okay, we'll never distribute our shows on a network. I said, Kim, I looked into that because we had worked with Biz TV and put our shows on Biz TV for about a year. Small 40-channel network around the country, but they had no bandwidth. So they actually have one in Durham. Mark probably doesn't even know that, because you can't hear it because it beams out on old-fashioned television antennas, and it only beams out maybe 5 miles. Seriously, this is a real problem. So I said, there's no way we could afford to be able to create a network, create product, distribute product without just going broke within 2 seconds. Then what happens is this, Maxine. The technology changed. Ooh, streaming technology. And I'm not a tech person, okay? As I said, I'm an attorney, okay? I practice
on the finance side, yes.
In other words, I'm not a tech person, but I was good at chess. I was actually number 10 in the country in high school, at the National High School in 1975. I placed 10 out of 1,000.
Master chess player.
Yeah, master chess player. I placed 10 out of 1,000 chess players. So I was good at chess, good at figuring things out. And I figured out, and I told Kim, I said, look, we can create our own network. I figured it out. Okay. It's a little tech problem, and we figured it out. And so we created the IBM TV network. That went well until IBM goes, you're not going to use our name, and then went to WIPO and ripped the name back, literally. And I figured, wait a minute. We already bought IBM TV. Can you guys just do this? Well, WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization out somewhere in Belgium, all their programming is actually done by IBM. So, they're like good buddies. And so we lost that case. Yeah. So we're flipping around trying to figure out, okay, well, we can't be IBM TV. What are we going to use? And we inventoried, we still have ABC TV. But then I go, well, Disney could sue us off that. We own Blockbuster Video TV. The people that bought
Right.
Blockbuster out of bankruptcy could sue it. And we had Pod TV. And just because we didn't have any other names available, it's so hard to find a URL, we used Pod TV. And so there was a lot of, this is what I'm saying, nothing's clear. Oh, we got to give up IBM TV and go to Pod TV. And the name of our company is International Broadcast Media, IBM, right?
IBM, right.
It's either that or you face a big suit with IBM because they're going to be really not happy with us using IBM because that's their 3 letters of the alphabet.
Their name, right? Their brand, right?
Yeah, it's their brand. I can't blame them. I mean, so the thing is, they're going to defend the brand. And so we switched over about, I guess it's going on maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago to Pod TV. And I thought, well, it's not as intellectual as IBM TV, but then it does indicate a lot what we're doing, which is talk television. So I go, well, sometimes when you're saying life strategies, okay, the cosmic order of the universe will tell you what to do. You don't tell them what to do, okay? So it's almost like you said you're going to be Pod TV. Don't try to be anything else but Pod TV. And we didn't have really a lot of programming. We've grown in the last 2 years from like 0 programming to, I counted 96 shows right now that run on the network. We broadcast in at least 122 countries. Okay, at least 122. So the thing is, and we have viewers from literally all over the world. We have producers from all over the world. And as I said to Mark or our group, I said, look, we're going to look totally different a year from now. And guess what we did? We have our own OTT. We have our own app. This I'm not sure because Mark is like the man behind the curtain, so he gets to press
right.
Okay,
he's our invisible guide. Yes.
The man behind the curtain pressing all the buttons. We could be broadcasting live right now through Roku because we have our own Roku channel. We had to go through approval, but we actually do have our own television channel on Roku. We have our own television on Amazon Fire, so we're actually seen on that. And then, of course, all the traditional social media sites from Facebook groups, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and special Facebook groups like the United Nations carries our show, and Al Jazeera carries our show. So in other words, they don't have to, but Al Jazeera carries it. So our producers in our shows get seen on a lot of different broadcasts around the world. And this is where we sit today. I believe that a year from now, we're going to look totally different. Okay, we're going to be a lot bigger, stronger, more powerful, more distributed than we are today. Not even close. We distribute also now in different languages. If Mark sends me this, I can translate into Spanish. Okay, and we have a big Spanish following, and it can translate into Portuguese.
Okay,
so you can go ahead and speak English. You're good, Maxine. The translator programs will take care of it, and then they're going to translate it in script. That's today. Tomorrow, which means as early as next year, go ahead and talk in English. When you speak, it'll be translated into habla español. Even though you're speaking English, your little translator bug will go and talk like this in Spanish, and you'll be going, I didn't know, Maxine, you had to speak
in
Spanish.
real time. In real time.
Yes, in real time. You're right. Yes. There's several programs right now we're talking to that will do it in real time. Several of them will do dubbing. Well, they call it dubbing. We'll dub later on. But why would we do that? This way, this show can be seen because we're starting to pick up a big Spanish audience because we're translating our shows into Spanish. That's something I just checked today. I'm going, why did these shows all of a sudden jump up in the ratings? I was going, well, it's because we're translating them into Spanish.
Excellent.
And we can translate them to 100 languages. We've already translated them to Japanese, Spanish, Russian, German, French, Portuguese, because Brazil's our number 2 country that watches our shows. And we still have 100 other languages to translate into. So what you're going to see, Maxine, is not only you will be well known in the United States, but you'll also be well known internationally. Swahili, we try because Mark says, "Hey, can we do Swahili?" I said, "Yes, we can." So the thing is, they have 100 languages. There's some languages we want to translate. They haven't developed yet. Bengali for our Bangladesh people, they've been pushing on us. Right. Hey, you got to get Bengali. eventually we'll be able to do Bengali. They have about 300 million people that watch it through Bangladesh, and because the country is pretty large. We tend to underestimate the population that lives in the Indochina area. So I think our network, like I said, we're going to look totally different a year from now, but it's going to be the ability, which the major networks, only Netflix seems to be doing it with their movies, is the dubbing in. Alberta Thompson said, "Good evening." Yes.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But good evening here.
That's
Say good
fancy.
morning to the people in Malaysia.
Somewhere, right, exactly. Exactly. As
Yeah,
they say,
we're on the morning drive over there.
there's morning in another part of the country. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So the thing is, the beauty of what we're doing is the world, it becomes small, and that we get people involved in communicating from all over the world. Our show that originates from Ukraine actually originates from Kiev, Ukraine. Ivan lives in Ukraine and reports at least twice a week. We'll have a show out of Kiev, Ukraine. Now, we know that's a very tense spot to live in right now. So some cases I like to go see the show to see if he's still there,
Right.
you know, how Ukraine's doing. But this is the change in technology we're seeing on a global platform that Pod TV's plan to expand into that global platform, because I hate to say it, no one else is doing it. You know.
But you know what, Nick, what I'm hearing you say, and I'm going to translate it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a strategy.
Yes.
This is a strategy that Nick picked up on. No one else was doing it. So Nick took it upon himself to be creative and to use his imagination, his innovation, and create a strategy. And now we have Pod TV. Yes, did he run into some hiccups? Of course he did. He had that IBM challenge going on. But did he let that stop him? No, he did not. That's when you have a strategy and you know your vision and you know your mission, then you pivot. If COVID taught us nothing, it taught us how to pivot. And Nick knew how to pivot before COVID came along. And so that's what we have to do as individuals. That's what we have to do as business owners. That's what we have to do as employees. If you work for another organization, you cannot stop being innovative.
Right.
But I love that. I love what you're saying, Nick, as far as all of this direction, all of these strategies that you put in place, what you looked at, what you observed. And when I think about it and I look at your achievements and I look at your resume, yes, you have law. Yes, you know, here you have the chess player, you're an author, you know, you work in universities as an adjunct professor, but you're being creative, you're well-rounded. And so that creativity has an opportunity to start expounding and moving. And as you see things, you observe them, you grasp it, and now you say, how can I interpret this and use it differently?
Yeah. And what you said, very important, Maxine, was pivoting, because roadblocks are going to be put in your way. I mean, IBM just put a big like that in your way.
Yes.
Now, some cases when you do see roadblocks, they actually create more opportunities for you. So you have to look at the roadblock to be the ability to the ability to say, well, this is not the way to go. Let's pivot and go a different direction and look for the opportunities over there. And time again, that's happened. The funny thing about education, because, you know, I got a lot of what they call formal education,
right?
MBA, JDLM. They don't teach you that stuff. Okay.
Life
strategy.
Book information, yes. Real world application, not so much.
Yeah. And pivoting is so important, because you're going to face roadblocks. I don't care what business you're in, and I've been in a lot of different businesses. The thing is, there are going to be roadblocks. In some cases, the roadblocks say just go a different direction. Don't stop what you're doing. Just modify and go a different direction.
That's
so
right.
Time and time again, you know, like I said, our overall strategy and our mission, because we have to have a mission statement. What's the mission? Global media domination, which means basically we're everywhere. But opportunities create from that. As a matter of fact, Mark created a big opportunity with us at Duke University. And here was the complaint. One professor was complaining, Mark Lee's everywhere. I see him everywhere. Everywhere I go, there's Mark Lee. Okay. And in conversations with Mark, That's exactly what I want. I want
That's what
marketing
you
to be
want.
everywhere.
Yeah.
That's part of our global media domination strategy, be everywhere. So we met with this professor and we created an opportunity with Duke University to broadcast their, they have a place called Baldwin Auditorium, broadcast their events from Baldwin Auditorium all over the world. So out of that problem, rather than cry and get mad at the guy because the guy's everywhere, call him up, have lunch, see if you can create something that's beneficial from everybody. And then basically that's what we did in that. And there's opportunities all over the place. We recently got in contact with the president of the European Parliament. Now, to give you an idea, I don't know much about the European Parliament. Okay, so the thing is, I had to go look them up. It's actually, she's the head of the EU. Okay, and the EU is similar to being president of the United States, except you're president of the European Union.
Right.
And I'd contacted her for over a year now, and finally got with her press secretary so she can come on one of our shows. But again, it's being persistent but not obnoxious, allowing you to get interviews with some really good people. We're talking to Live Golf. Now, a lot of people don't even know what Live Golf is, but the Saudis created their own golf to compete with the PGA. This is a true story. It only happened in America. The PGA, they're trying to get Live on channels in the United States. But the PGA has such a stronghold with the major networks here. Live Golf can't get on any network. So we're contacting them to put them on the Pod TV network. Because again, there's an opportunity to have Live Golf on a network that is not dominated by the 5 majors in the United States, which is CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS, and the CW network, those 5. Now, let me tell you also about all those networks. I go to Australia, as we all know, we broadcast, and we have people that come in from Australia all the time. I say, how's CBS doing over there? Australia, we don't even know anything about CBS. Never heard of them.
Ooh,
seriously.
opportunity.
I know. Yeah, the channels that make it international are CNN and Bloomberg for the most part. These other channels are not internationally developed. So the thing is, this again creates opportunity because in the United States, we're so insular. Everything happens here, or happens here in Great Britain, as you all know. But they ignore the rest of the world. In other words, like Kenya, where Barbara Smith goes to all the time. We broadcast in Kenya. Why? Because CBS, ABC, well, we're not going to do that. We're in the United States. You see what I mean? So that creates an opportunity. Snobbery by major corporations create opportunities for everybody else. So if you're an entrepreneur, find out when some big company snubs you. That's the best thing in the world, because that's the opportunity to take the space where they're snubbing you. So yeah, we've been snubbed a lot. I tell people, if you really want to be humbled, Maxine, go to the NAPTI meeting where all the executives of television hang out and watch all the doors slam in your face. Okay. Wow. Just the nature of the beast, because they feel like they own, control, and dominate the market space, which they don't, because technology has changed the whole.
And that's where you listen and learn, and that's where you end up getting that thick skin, as they say, because no does not mean no forever. I heard you use the word persistent. I heard you use consistency, and that's what happens as entrepreneurs. That's what happened as business owners. That's what happened as individuals who are trying to get out here and get their foot through the door to a corporation that they want to work within or do business with. We have to be persistent. We have to be consistent. And I love what you said. It took you 1 year. 1 year. Some people give up after 2 or 3 months. But 1 year, and look, you have that interview happening. It's going to happen. Yeah. And so that's a strategy in itself. Be persistent and be consistent in what you're doing, and build the relationships. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think people want, because, the land of fast food, which is the United States of America. So we want everything tomorrow. The fact is, things take time to develop. And if you want to develop things, you have to be patient to slowly work your way. Oh, by the way, we're also now broadcasting to mainland China. Okay. Which I thought, man, we're going to have a hard time ever getting these shows in China because they're challenging to work with. But I found a person who I argued with a lot, Stephen Tan, who's the administrator of Understanding China, and he lets a lot of our shows in. They don't tell you what the rules are, but I can basically tell you what they like and don't like. First of all, if you want to be in mainland China, talk about China. Number one. Number two, if you want to be in mainland China, don't talk negative about China.
That's
talk
right.
positive. And then they take the shows and they'll actually broadcast them into mainland China. Now, why is that important? Well, he's got 125,000 people just on his group alone that will watch these shows. So China, you can't underestimate a country that has 1.6 billion people.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can never get these numbers here in the United States. Yeah, if you get 300, 400 million, you can't even get 400 million in the US because we only have 330 million. But in China, you can get 400 million viewers, 500 million, and you still haven't even come close to capturing a third of the Chinese market.
Right.
So it's it's an important issue, and just be nice to them. Don't be, basically don't be a jerk to the Chinese. I mean, they're doing the best they can. If you had if I told you, Maxine, you're going to now manage 1.6 billion people.
Oh, yes.
That's not an easy job.
No, and you have to wrap your head around it first of all, and then you have to put a strategy in place and how you're going to execute. I mean, I love that you were talking about the numbers. You also need to know your numbers.
Right.
As you are looking for opportunities. You talked about when they snub you to look for what organizations are snubbing you or what space is not necessarily letting you in. And then you look around and say, well, who else can I look at? What other direction can I go to? Because as business owners, many times we'll say, okay, well, I'll give up on that and not do it. I found myself doing that earlier in my business career in owning the business, because one door closed did not mean that another window would not open. It's just that I was not, consistent in observing what area do I need to attack next.
Right.
So we have to also start looking at that. What's the marketing strategy that you put in place? Yeah. And you can't do it all by yourself.
No, we it's good we have a team, and we also have right now at least 96 content creators, or we call producers like yourself.
Right.
Because if not, there's no way we could produce the amount of content to fill the 168 hours a week that we have to put new content on the air. So every week we have to flood the network with 168 hours of new content with our 96 content creators. And we're talking about the numbers. You're right. It is important, because even though it sounds cool, we're broadcasting on Roku television right now. Roku only has 60 million people that actually subscribe to Roku. Oh, we're on Amazon Fire. Sounds cool. It's live broadcasting. But they only have 50 million. We're getting 115,000 views on Vimeo. Okay. But Vimeo, a lot of people don't know. It's a very creative space of content creators and producers, has 200 million viewers. And then sometimes when the space gets big, like YouTube and Facebook have 2 billion, but then you get lost in those big numbers. But the biggest distribution point of all, and we're re-engineering for this, believe it or not, is none of those above. The biggest, and we're going to re-engineer this right now for this market. The biggest market is the World Wide Web.
Wow.
The World Wide Web distribution today is 5 billion people. 5 billion people. And believe it or not, that number has gone up about 2 billion since we first started the network. And part of it is the reach of the World Wide Web keeps expanding into all these other countries. And so our next new strategy to capture more of the World Wide Web is to re-engineer our website and push it into that 5 billion person space. So I have people working on that right now, because that's the biggest space of all. You can't ignore, like I say, you're right, Maxine, you can't ignore the numbers. It's almost like your whole business strategy, follow the numbers. Or as one artist told me, good artist copy. So I read a lot of books on Jobs, Gates, etc. because I like to copy. But he goes, great artists steal. Okay. What do they mean by that? Find out what the good artists or the great artists do and copy and steal their idea. And believe it or not, a lot of
Make
media
it your own and make it your own.
and make it your own. And a lot of it is not copyrighted, not patented, not protected at all. As a matter of fact, the media space is one of the least protected spaces out there. You can go into the space and frankly, there's no patents, there's no moats, there's no, oh, you got to pass all these tests to get on. So it creates a lot of opportunity for people that are creative. It's just, it's the wild, wild west, at least right now, in terms of mobility.
I like a couple things you just said. You brought out the WWW, the World Wide Web, which, when year 2000, was it 2000 was happening? I think 1999, and we was going into the year of 2000. Everybody was so concerned about what was going to happen to the World Wide Web. It's going to crash and all of that.
No.
And it didn't happen. Like what you say, look at where we are, digital everywhere, over all the different countries. I remember as a director assistance operator, I was a manager, and I put on a skit for a 5-year anniversary. And I was talking about the year of 2000. And this was in 1990. And I was talking about the year 2000. And the skit that I put on, guess what? It was a picture phone.
All right.
It was the actual picture phone. And director assistant, the lady would pop up and you could see her and you would give her your request and she would give it to you because you could actually see her. Look at what we're doing now.
Yeah.
The actual picture phone, we can see each other, FaceTime and everything. Right. And I'm like, I was ahead of my time. I just didn't know how to capitalize on it, and move it forward in that being innovative, and I like that. I like that. I love the fact that you also talked about how you've taken this information, and even though the numbers are there, but you looked beyond those immediate numbers and you looked into the pod TV, and now you looked into the WWW, which means we sort of like put that on the back burner because digital, virtual was taken over. But now you've gone back to square one where it all started.
Correct. Yeah. PodTV.tv. Our next push in 2023 will be to PodTV.tv because the landscape is 5 billion people. And the thing is, let's break down another company that we work with and compete against, Facebook. If you get rid of all the hype on Facebook, what is it? It's a website, Maxine. That's it. Okay. There's nothing magical about Facebook. It's a website that connects people. It's low tech, by the way. Most of the great ideas are not high tech. They're low tech ideas. I've been reading a book on Steve Jobs. He didn't do anything that was great with Apple. The people that did the hard work were the people at Intel who put these little microchips together. All he did is package it under the Mac and made it nice and pretty looking and selling it to the rest of the world.
That's right.
There's nothing brilliant that Steve Jobs did at all, except package and sell. And so the thing is, when you're looking at the space, a lot of the stuff is not high tech. You just want to work with the low tech, the hanging fruit. And you can be very successful with that. So so the website, podtv.tv, that's going to be our next push because it is easily accessible and available to 5 billion people. I'm sorry, Roku, we love it. It sounds great. Yeah, you have your own TV channel. You can watch it in the United States. But that's only 60 million. 60 million isn't 5 billion.
Ooh, it doesn't even touch it.
It doesn't even touch it. Yeah. And so the thing is, anybody, and people are starting to watch content on their desktops. How do we know that? I get the reports back every day through Vimeo. A lot of the viewers that you're going to see of the 117,000 people that watch our shows right now are watching it on their bloody computers. Years ago, that wouldn't be the case. They're watching it on computers. They're watching it on cell phones. They're watching it on television. So we're able to like you say, follow the numbers and go after the numbers. But the goal is to be everywhere so that we're not going to say we're just going to do a telephone strategy or a desktop strategy. We're going to be in every place. So including the airports. When somebody goes to an airport, they're there's all these TV monitors. Oh, there's Pod TV up there. What are they doing up there? Flying across the country. Oh, they press on. Oh, there's Pod TV stuff in the airlines. So again, and it is talk shows, but there's a big need for talk shows. I would say NPR does a great job. I don't know if you'll ever listen to them on the radio, National Public Radio. They have great talk shows on there. There's a need for good, high quality pod TV talk shows, and there's a big demand for it. So I think we have a great opportunity. We're going to keep pressing that direction as long as the space allows us to do it, and we don't get shut down by a regulator.
Right. Well, you also talked about that you have 96, like you say, shows on right now. And I know there's a lot of people out here probably thinking, well, what do I need to do in order to become a part of this Pod TV, especially in 2023, because now here we are at the last quarter. So we need to be setting strategies for 2023. 2022, we're closing out, but we need to be moving forward to 2023. So what do you say to that? What would you like to give the viewing audience as to some insight on how can they become a part of the Pod TV?
Oh, well, I mean, the key thing of being part of Pod TV is to contact Mark Lee, because he does all of the programming. And then if you want to get more reviews, Rex Lee is going to help our producers get to the 1 million viewership. Now, he works very closely with Epic Times, which has 20 million subscribers, but has no content. So a lot of places, when we have the content, we go to places that don't produce content. LinkedIn doesn't produce their own content. Facebook, oddly enough, even though they're a $1 trillion company almost, they don't produce any of their own content. So content creators have great opportunities. They can work with Pod TV and get a hold of Mark Lee. If you can't figure out how to get a hold of Mark Lee, turn on LinkedIn. He's everywhere.
I was going to say, go to LinkedIn. Yeah. Mark is everywhere.
And Mark brings in the programs. And since we run live programming as well as video on demand, because somebody said, which way are you going to go? We start on video on demand. We still have it. It's called Pod TV, video on demand on Roku. But now we also run Pod TV Live, which means we have to actually have time slots for everybody, because you're running like at 7 o'clock, then we have another show at 8, 9, 10, it keeps going. But Mark's been very good in being able to hold. To me, it reminds me of like the person with the dike putting his fingers in all the places so the dam of all these people just don't come flooding through.
Right.
Maxine, we have opportunities to people who normally wouldn't get these opportunities, because I can tell you right now, you go to CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS, and CW, you might as well be talking to the wall. Good luck. You're never going to go anywhere. If Live can't go anywhere, which is backed by billions of dollars of the Saudis, they can't get on these channels. How do you think you're going to get on? You're not. What you're going to have is the worst experience of your life.
But if I can stop you right here, that's one of the reasons why I want to say thank you, for allowing me to have this space.
Yeah.
Because yes, I brought some phenomenal entrepreneurs on that would not have had an opportunity to be on, a TV show such as this, and being streamed to 122 countries, and having their name in a household that otherwise would not even know who they are. So we appreciate you having the insight. We appreciate you having the heart. We appreciate that you being a servant leader to be able to know that this is needed in order for individuals like myself and some of these other individuals to have an opportunity to share, because there's so many people, especially with, let's think about COVID, and people were literally stuck on what should I do? How do I move? Whether it comes to a career, whether it comes to a business, what do I do? But then they can go online and they can see all these phenomenal individuals who's sharing information with them that they can use right away.
Right.
They don't have to wait on it. They don't have to wait to be hired. They don't have to wait to read a book. All they have to do is sit there and listen and take the information and then go back and apply it.
Yeah, and you're right, Maxine. When we started this a couple of years ago, first thing we said, there's a lot of talented people out there in the United States and around the world that are never given the opportunity to show what they can do. And so we want to make sure the network allows that opportunity so people can put on shows like yours and put on all these different types of shows that Mark is, and some of them are really great. We have one show that does cruise ships. One does cars. I mean, one, of course, we know does chess, but we have all these different types of shows that are on the network with people that are giving opportunities to distribute their content worldwide, which normally they would never get through any of the major networks in the United States of America because of another bad statistic here in the US, because I do follow the numbers. When you go back in the 1970s, 50 companies had 90% of the television market. Today, 5 companies have 90% of the television market. Okay.
Wow.
Since there's such a concentration, it squeezes the opportunities out. And I feel really bad about some of the creative people that are sitting right now in Los Angeles, New York, struggling for any opportunity to be on. And they're good people and they've got good content. They got good stuff, but they can't go anywhere because they're stopped. In other words, and so the thing is, the network's idea is that we're not going to stop these people. We're going to allow them to create. We're going to help them create, help them get better, give them opportunities so they can distribute and create more content, get to work with other producers so that we can take these people and make them successful in the media world that basically shut off to 99.999% of the population. So that's going to change.
Wow. Well, listen, a round of applause. That's all I can
my
say.
Hero, Mark Lee.
There's Mark Lee. Here's the man.
How do you get in contact with Mark?
I heard my name being mentioned and all of that, and definitely, Nick, you were doing some great conversations. Actually, Technical was in here, and she is on Tuesdays at 6:00, and she actually is the one that is helping get us into the metaverse. So we're in the metaverse now as well, because we have this whole show where we learned about augmented reality, the metaverse, and no, metaverse is not Facebook. It is much more than that, and that is something that she oftentimes talks about and all in that space. We've got a person that's going to do a show about the paranormal and all of that, because we do have the skeptical metaphysicians, and they actually are talking about everything from karma to going ghost hunting to a bunch of other things. We've got the Angry Geeks, which is a comic book show, and we've also got the Gamers Den. So there is all kinds of amazing shows that are taking place, and as you have been telling people, we've got translation programs, so you can actually be heard in other languages, because we have a Latin view kind of show. It's actually called Que Pasa Mujer, and Viviana Andreata put that together and all along those lines, and that is giving us a viewpoint of what the Latin community is thinking, particularly those Latin women and all in that space. So that is every Sunday, and we've got a show about bullying that Stephanie Hockenhall, who I know you know, Maxine, is doing with her son Gene, and they're talking about bullying and how you can recognize a narcissist when you see one, and all in that space. And Nick, one of the things that I love about this whole network is that there's not a lot of micromanagement that goes on, because y'all do give me and the producers a lot of room to do what we want to do and to have the freedom to do what we want to do as well. So definitely appreciate that, even though sometimes when you're not micromanaging, people try to come in with all kinds of crazy things, including some of the bots that are trying to send in some crazy notes that I'm not going to put up on the thing, because they just
the bots coming in on our show.
Yeah, the bots are coming in. They're trying to sell some unwanted material and all in that space. But Maxine, the reason I popped in is because I understand, and I'm like Nick, I'm trying to figure out how some of these people discovered the Fountain of Youth and they didn't pass it on to me and everything, because you have found the Fountain of Youth, and I'm trying to figure out where you discovered it, where you're hiding the bottle at, and all of that space, because we all need to get a copy of that bottle and figure out what's going on in that space. But you've got some amazing friends that apparently have popped in, because maybe they know where this bottle is and they can tell us about the bottle and all of this, because I know that they are popping in, and I think that they have some words of wisdom for you and maybe even for Nick as well. So I'm going to bring in these a couple of friends of yours that have come in, and maybe they've got some words of wisdom. So we've got Baker that has come in and everything, so bringing them in. Maybe they've got some words of wisdom, and a friend that I've seen before, I think even on this show and everything, that being Miss Tatum, and all in that space and all along those lines. So do y'all have some words of wisdom? And can you tell me and Nick how Maxine found the Fountain of Youth? I'm trying to figure this out. She discovered it somewhere, and I'm trying to figure out what happened and why we didn't get it.
Well, I tell you what, one reason she looks so well and she's so pretty is because of her faith and how she treats other people.
But Tim Ryan's what
You know, if you treat people right,
Ohio families with inflation and higher prices. Ryan
Somebody's got their other machine on.
you just
They
go.
would-
by supporting Biden's billions in higher taxes. Ryan backed a Green New Deal that would hit Ohio
Life and not
Somebody might need to mute your mic for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Just-
go.
There we go. Yep.
Okay, Peggy.
What were you saying, Peggy?
okay. Mine looks like I need to.
No, you're good, Peggy. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're good, Peggy.
All right. I was just saying. Okay, I was just saying how Maxine treat people and about her faith. You know, that makes a big difference, and you can always see on somebody's face when they've got a smile, when they're not as stressed as other people are. You can look at their skin; it tells in their skin. It tells when they're taking care of their bodies. And she probably drinks a lot of water too, that keeps that skin looking so pretty. But she's just such an amazing lady, and she's always helping other people. And when you do stuff like that, it comes back to you in positive ways. She's just marvelous, and she's helped me so much in some of the things that I do. And I just, you know, when I see her smile, it makes me smile.
Well, thank you. Love it.
And happy birthday, sweetie.
Thank you.
And Miss Baker has been here as well. I think they had some thoughts as well in that space. So I definitely want to hear from them and see what they've got to say, because they've been doing a lot.
I personally, good evening, everyone. I personally believe when you put God first, as I know that she does, and you keep him head of your life, that the fountain of youth is going to glow through her. So she's a light to everybody, and she never puts herself first. She always puts others first. And being my aunt, I'm blessed to be her niece. I know that that's what she does. So anytime you put God first and you put yourself last and others before you, I think that youth and that light is always going to shine through. So I just want to say thank you, Auntie, for being the woman of God that you are, and for always allowing God to use you in whatever platform that he chooses to use you. You are truly amazing, and I say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
No doubt about that. Hey, just really quickly, because like I said, I'm definitely a fan of Maxine's as well. I think she does some amazing work, both as her producer of this show and just in life in general. I've definitely been admiring the work that she's been doing, whether it's on platforms that we are not as well, she's not as associated with as much as she used to be, and all of that, or it's on this platform. I've definitely seen that she has always wanted to give a lot of great views and a lot of opportunities for people to express themselves, and you do an amazing job. And yes, having that connection to the Most High is very important, and to have that connection to faith and to Mother Earth and the Mother Nature and all of that is also important. And I know that is also important in your life as well. So definitely I wanted to add my congratulations on this, your birthday, and definitely think that you are a truly amazing lady, and one that I'm glad to call a dear friend and all of that. Nick, just really quickly, because I know that you've been a fan of hers, as has Kim as well. I just wanted to know if you had any birthday shout outs, and if you could talk to these ladies about the importance of faith, because I do know that faith, even in your life, has been important as well. So since it's the Life Tragedy Show, I would love to hear some of your thoughts around how much faith has been important to you. You're on mute, Nick. Let me get you off mute. Yeah.
Guiding principle of everybody's life should be that. I mean, the thing is, you have to have faith, and you have to have faith that you're doing the right thing. That should be your number one goal. Are you doing the right thing for other people? Remember, your time on this planet is limited. Before I came on this, I was going, I don't know if I was having a panic attack, thinking, oh, I'm going to go die tonight. You know, that wasn't going to be very good. So what do you leave other people when you leave this universe? Are you going to leave good things, good thoughts, good stuff, or are you going to leave bad stuff? That's part of the reason I'm against the war in Ukraine. It's just bad. It's bad for people. It's bad for the human race. I mean, they're fighting over, frankly, nothing. And it's sad to see that people will do stuff like that when there's so many more positive things that you can do in your life and for other people. And so that stuff is just really bad. And I'm hoping the network also continues on that positive vein. We don't have bleed it leads type stories. Every now and then Mark will pull these old movies and put them on and stuff like that. But, the Beverly Hillbillies and the Wild Wild West really aren't going to kill what we're doing. So I think if we keep heading in that positive direction, there'll be some people that want to see the bleeding leads. Okay, then go watch Netflix, go watch something like that. But we don't need to be beholden to that type of programming. Instead, we want to be beholden to the more positive program that's out there and the innovative program, like Mark just described. A lot of these ones, like on cruise ships, cars. I mean, we have one on metaphysics. I mean, what do I call it? The metaverse. I mean, stuff like that's great. It's innovative. It's great. That's what people want to see. And that's where we can continue doing it. And you're going to have faith that the network holds up, faith that your programs hold up. I think any producer who does this, has to have faith in themselves and the products that they're putting out there. And that things will get better for everybody. And that's what we're going to do. It's just a matter of time.
Do you have change?
I don't have any change. Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why, Nick, I love being a part of this network is because of the flexibility. It's not a lot of micromanaging, and just think the last 8 weeks, the situation that I've been in between death in the family and being ill myself, the producer was able to take the prior shows and continue to run them.
Right.
Where if you were on another network, what are they going to want? They're like, no, you need to be there. You need to be there in person, live, whereas it still continued to run in my absence, and that was a blessing in itself because life happens. You can't be in every space, but so I appreciate that, that you're given the flexibility to be able to do that. And also, to be able to bring such powerful people onto this network so that they can then empower others to move forward in life. You're right. Mm-hmm. It's a legacy. You can't take this knowledge with you. It is something that you need to leave here. I call it transforming generations and leaving legacies. And that's what we do. And we start with our youth all the way through our elders. And so we all have something to give. It's just that, are we open enough to share it and not feel like we have to keep it to ourselves because someone else is going to take it and do better? But that's what, like you said earlier, that's, that you take something and you repurpose it, you use it, you borrow it, you steal it, it becomes your own. There's nothing out here that's totally brand new. Mm-hmm. It's just repackaged. Yeah. And so Peggy is sitting here, and Peggy has a phenomenal something that's called the Gut Patrol. And so that's something, Mark, I think that is a very nice conversation to have afterwards, because it's so many individuals who have left this earth because of their stomach situations that perhaps had it been caught earlier, could have been perhaps reversed. So that's something that we might want to give attention to. So Peggy, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying they'll have a conversation later, but it's something that's needed around the world, not just here in the United States. It can happen anywhere, at any time, and to anybody. Yeah.
No doubt about that. And we actually might have to get that as a show. I know we've been talking about some cooking shows and some other type of shows. So Peggy, you might have to have that conversation with you, because I do know that is something that is needed. Just like I'm trying to bring back the pet show and a couple of other shows that are definitely out there that are not being addressed yet. So definitely there are always ideas that can be done in that space. And definitely, as you've said, definitely Nick has done a great job of providing us an opportunity and always looking for new content and all in that space. But you are just doing truly an amazing job. And I see that some of your relatives have chimed in as well. So I put those comments over earlier, but your grandsons were talking, and your daughter-in-law, I think that was coming from Lorena J. Phillips, and Alberta Thompson said that they would like to wish you a happy 68th birthday, and they wish that they could be there with you and could get on verbally to say it. And the same with Julie Connors, who said, what a wonderful way to celebrate your birthday. So definitely an amazing birthday, and some amazing things that you are doing and that you are continuing to do and all that. I told you discovered the Fountain of Youth. I have jokingly said on several shows that I'm going for 200. I'm not doing anything to actually get 200 done, because I do have some of those vices that are out there and all of that. So definitely I've got to figure out how I'm going to get to 200, but still, have an occasional beer here and there, and maybe some other vices that go on in that space. But I think part of it is what Peggy just said, is attitude. So if I'm believing that I'm going to make it to 200, if I only make it to 110 or 150, or maybe even only 70, at least it was the journey that was worth the opportunity and all of that. And a lot of it is what Peggy just said, which is positive attitude, and that whole positive attitude kind of belief system. So like I said, unless you believe the biblical stories, nobody has made it there, but hey, maybe I'll be the first.
Hey, believe. I believe in you, and you have to believe in yourself. So that's so important. But I just want to thank everyone for all of the beautiful happy birthday posts, cards, emojis, all of that great stuff. Julie, thank you. Alberta, for coming on and watching. Peggy, this little lady right here, this Peggy, I tell you, when God places, I want to emphasize this to everyone that's watching. When someone is dropped into your spirit, to check on them, stop right then and check on them, because you just never know. They need that word of encouragement. They need to hear your voice. They need to know that you love, that someone else loves them, because you don't know what they're going through. I was very critically ill. Peggy calls me to check in, say, you were just dropped in my spirit and I needed to check on you. And she just did not do it once. She did it 3 times. And then every week, I think she was checking on me. I do it all the time before I became ill, but I don't get it that often. And so when she started calling me, it's like she opened the gates. And then I started getting telephone calls from people that I had not talked to in years. And so you're right. If you give, then the universe, it will be returned. So don't be afraid to share, So
No doubt about that. Maxine, you've got I know we're winding down, got about a few more minutes, but you've got a consultation that you're offering and a free call introduction. So I was scrolling that across. So if you tell folks about that and what that's all about. We were scrolling the other ways that people could get out there and everything. But this seems like something very important that is part of the life strategies. So I will let you tell them about it.
That is correct. There is a free 15-minute call. And the whole purpose of that, I say, life is too short. Tomorrow is not promised. You have strategies that you need to put in place. It's important that you live I call it a purposefully life. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. If you need someone to just talk it out, then take that 15-minute of free consultation. It's on the bottom of the screen. Make a note of it. Take a picture of it. And let's have a 15-minute conversation. That's what we're here to do, is to help you build a life and a career that will help you get to the lifestyle that you want to live. Not what someone else wants you to live, but how you want to live it. So we transform generations, and we want you to leave your legacy.
No doubt, and you're doing an amazing job of that. That is very true and everything. Hey, Nick, you've been the subject of this lovely show, and definitely you had some great thoughts and everything. Do you have any words of wisdom that you're going to share with Maxine before we get ready to get out of here? I think we got about another 2 minutes and all of that. And I know that you are definitely a fan. You've actually had the pleasure of meeting her in person a couple of times. So any words of wisdom other than the fact that, like you, like me, you are trying to figure out where she's hidden that Fountain of Youth bottle, because it's somewhere in that house of hers, and we got to figure out where it's at.
That was a stunner as far as I was concerned, Mark. I mean, I was going like, Maxine saying she's older than me. I was kind of like, I thought I was the oldest guy on the network. Well, anyway, I guess that's not true. But she definitely found the Fountain of Youth, and I think people need to find her, because you're right, Maxine, that people get stuck and they need to talk to people to figure out what decisions to make, and somebody can guide them through what you call life strategies and stuff like that. And there's no playbook. So what you do need to do is you need to talk to people that can help you. And I'm glad to have somebody like you around, a lady of faith, that's moving in the right direction and helping people that will move in the right direction. Because without that, I think the world would be a lot worse place. So I think the world is grateful to have people like you in this world. I wish you were president of Russia, not Vlad. I don't think we would have a war going on. So that would be my thoughts.
No.
Well, I'm just thankful to be able to see another year and to be able to share with great people like yourself and with the world. because that's what life is all about. I can't take any of this knowledge with me. The more I leave on this earth, the more I pour into others, then my legacy will live on.
Mhm. Yeah. And it will through television, because when you digitize this stuff, Maxine, we can reuse it over and over again for actually zillions of years because it's permanently embedded. It's like old photographs of the past. You ever see these old photographs?
Yes, yes.
Or even better, it was the artwork of years ago. In other words, the sculptures like the Sphinx, the Pyramid at Giza. Oddly enough, television, because it's embedded in a computer, creates immortality for anybody who gets on the air. But that's really
nice.
strange thing.
That is very true. So we're going to get out of here with the outro, but I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. There was actually a little bit of background noise here as the dancers were leaving and all of that, but still it was a fun conversation, and I knew it would be with Maxine and of course our founder, Nick, one of the founders. So now she's had both of them on, because she had Kim on earlier, and now she's had Nick on. So she's had both founders on, and we're going to get on out of here. And of course, as Nick said, there'll be more content on later on this evening, including that car show at 10 o'clock this evening. So that'll be with Anthony McClary. And I think you got some people on today that'll tell you how to actually fix the car and maybe even soup it up if that's what you want to do. As a non-driver, I'm not in that space, but I'm sure it'll be an interesting conversation. But right now, let's get on out of here, Maxine and gang.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I believe in you, and I trust you believe in yourself. Until next time.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance.